Matt Duffield from mattduffieldtrading.com, and tonight we're going to look at 4 hot penny stock plays of the day: ACI, CZR, CLTX, and ANFI. And before we do that, I want to remind you this video is for informational and educational purposes only. I'm not a registered investment advisor, neither is mattduffieldtrading.com. So penny stock trading can be very risky and you can lose a lot of money, so make your own decisions. Okay, so in ACI, last night's video, I had mentioned this closed at 281 here, and I was looking to short this if I got the chance because I thought it could go back. I'm sorry, not 281. It closed at 381. Yeah, I was looking to short this back down to the 330, 340 range, but with the the huge panic today in the markets, this thing opened so much lower at 278. So much panic selling. The Dow, intraday saw a 1,000-point drop at one point, and closed down nearly 600 points on the day. So that's 1,000 points in 2 sessions. There's just huge volatility in the markets. I don't remember seeing this kind of volatility since 2008, 2009. So it can be tricky to trade, but there are opportunities. But you got to be careful. So in the morning, when this opened around 270, it continued lower just like the market, but then the market rebounded pretty strongly, and basically all the penny stocks and other stocks that had gapped down then appeared like they were going to just fill the gap, which seemed incredible for the overall markets to gap down like 600 points and then fill the gap. Anyway, ACI managed to rally all the way back and not just fill the gap. It touched 421 in the morning, and I'm really kicking myself. I almost bought in the 280, 290 range, but I just thought it was a fat chance that this thing was going to fill the gap back to 380, and it really only took minutes to happen. It was incredible. And then when it was at this $4 level, I wanted to short because it's a strong resistance level, but I couldn't find shares to short, and it could have been a good trade because the $4 level held through lunch in the early afternoon and got a nice little tank, followed by a rally, and price closed right at $4 again. So this chart is really choppy. If you look at the 5-day, 5-minute chart, pretty choppy and confusing here. But I do want to keep an eye on it for tomorrow because on the daily chart, price created a bullish engulfing pattern today. And if we can get some follow through tomorrow, that could be the actual push up to 480, might even touch $5. But we'll see. We'll see if the setup is there. I want to see, a nice strong rally on volume before I buy back into this thing. But I'll be tweeting anything that I do. Okay, so let's go look at another one, CZR. It's not really a penny stock anymore. As you can see, you got to go back probably about 10 days, even more, I'm sorry. 60-minute chart, couple weeks. This was down in the $4 or $5 range, and it's had a nice strong rally over the past couple weeks. And today, I actually made a trade in my fiance's account right here at 835 because price had broke over the morning high. This is something I look for all the time. Anytime price can break above that resistance level, and in this case there wasn't much resistance between the 830 level. I got to go further out. The 830 level and $9. Let's go to the daily. So here's the 830 range, and then from there all the way up to 920, there's no resistance. So I mean, this was a perfect trade, for an easy 10%. And then that's exactly what happened. After I bought at 835, price steadily climbed higher, and I actually cashed in a little early at 889, right in here, before it had its last little push higher to I think it was 917. But I'm happy with it. That was like a 7% gain on a terrible market day. I'll take it. And I'll continue watching this one for tomorrow because this late day push higher, it did get a higher high, but back into that strong resistance level. So I will be a buyer above this 923 high, because if you go back out to the daily chart, above this band of resistance here, you might see 980, which, that's really only like a 5-6% gain. So I don't know. I might not make a trade, but I'll keep an eye on this one. Another really hot one of the day was ANFI. Let me get out to the 1 minute chart. Okay. So this one hardly even had any issue with the down market. I mean, it opened down, what is that, 2% or something like that, even with that huge crash this morning. So it opened around $3, rallied all the way to $4. This was a beast today. And, then it was kind of choppy in here. But I didn't follow this throughout the day. But I did notice, I actually caught on to this at the end of the day. Price has kind of formed an ascending broadening wedge. Let me get a good view of this. Okay, that's a good one. 5 minute, 3-day. Let me draw some trend lines. It's not going to be perfect, but something like this. Actually, that's more of a channel, but that's all right. It looks very similar to an ascending broadening wedge as well. You get 3 touches on the upper trend line, about 3 touches on the bottom trend line, followed by a breakdown, a back test of this lower trend line. And what all this is telling me is the up move should be over unless price can regain this trend line, which tomorrow morning it'll have to be just above 390. So I'm expecting some downside action, but I would love to see this thing take off. Let me show you why. On the 60-minute chart, there you go. You've got a nice gap range right in there, just above 369. This can easily go to 450, which it almost touched that today. So I want to keep an eye on this in case there's more strength tomorrow. I mean, this thing has been beaten up over the past couple weeks. I mean, just back in July, it was at $12. So filling this gap to, what is that, 456, that's not that big of a deal. So that's what I'm looking at there. CLTX, let me bring this up on the 1 minute chart. This wasn't so hot today, but we've been keeping an eye on it. This was the hot penny stock of last week, so it's hard to give up on it. It still has some nice moves. It opened lower with a nice gap. What did it open at? Hit a low of 222 there. That could have been an excellent buy because it spiked all the way back up to 316. I actually bought this at 277 right here and sold just like 20 minutes later at 314, which was a 13% gain. I mean, that is awesome on such a terrible market day. I was happy to take that profit, and I didn't really trade the rest of the day except for CZR, but that was in another account. Okay, so let's look at the 5 minute chart. I've really been watching this thing, and I mentioned to you guys, and early on, I think it was here on August 20th, that I figured this was developing an ascending triangle. I'm sorry, a symmetrical triangle, and that's exactly what this thing turned into. I don't like that line. I think it works better from there. Okay, there you go. So that's exactly what we have. We have higher lows. Each one of these keeps bumping into this trend line, and as you can see, price is getting squeezed. It's not, I mean, the volatility is lower. So last night's video, I had mentioned that this can cause another huge rally. It can cause a breakdown, or I've even seen it with these super spikes where it goes on to form the symmetrical triangle like we have here, and then price just trades flat and volume dies off and nothing happens for days or even weeks. So tomorrow is going to be the key session here, because price is already, I mean, it's almost, I'd say it's beyond the breakout point, like normally at the apex of the triangle. But tomorrow morning is going to be the key to determine, is this going to break down, break out, or just die off and trade sideways. Um, I'm really hoping for a little gap down, kind of like today, followed by a huge push higher, and then get some short covering to take this up to $4, maybe higher. That's if the market cooperates. But in the morning, if I don't see this thing moving much, and it's still kind of holding this tight range between 260 and $3, I'm going to move on because it's likely dead for now. And if you go out to the daily chart, see if there's anything. Get rid of those trend lines. You've got two hollow candlesticks, and sometimes, those can be associated with a short-term bottom. So, I mean, it's very possible that this thing could still rally strongly, but most importantly, keep an eye on those trend lines, because a break under or over could ignite, either a big rally or a big sell-off. So that's what you got to keep your eye on. Good luck tomorrow, guys.